Hello, I'm Lee Harris, I'm an energy intuitive, and every month I take the pulse of what's going on, energetically, psychologically, and emotionally, and what might be showing up in the weeks and months to come, and hopefully a few tips on how to deal with it. The idea to do the energy updates evolved over time. So originally I wrote the articles and they were written pieces. I didn't start putting them on video until 2012, but why I started doing them was in 2007 or 2008, a friend sent me an energy update from someone called Karen Bishop. And she had this blog called What's Up on Planet Earth, and she would write for sensitive people what we might be going through or feeling on a planetary level or an energetic level. And they were the best thing. Like when I would get one of these, I would feel seen, I would feel validated in my inner world. And even though I think Karen was popular at the time, these were still fairly new. So a few of us knew those updates, and Karen stopped doing them. She stopped doing them, I think, around 2009, 2010. She just said, I'm stopping. So I missed them. And because I was working intuitively in group workshops, I would stand at the front of the room and just speak to the group about what I was feeling was coming up for them and showing up for them. I thought, I wonder if I can do one. So I used to write them. And then in 2012, I had the idea, well, what if I did this on camera, because I'd put some videos on YouTube. And so that was how they began. And at the time I called them an energy forecast, and I kept that title for many years. And then at a certain point I thought, well, it's not always future. Sometimes I'm sharing things that people are already experiencing. So I'll change it to energy update. Hello and welcome to the February energy forecast. We're trying this as a video this month, just as an experiment, so it will involve me reading the written forecast that you can find online. I remember the very first one because I was in Brighton at the time. I was not yet living in America, and I filmed it on my laptop, and because I was filming it at night, to light my face, I had like 6 tea light candles all around the bottom of the laptop. So I remember you can even kind of see flickering on my face. And I saw it again about a year ago, and I couldn't believe how petrified I looked. And also it was so funny because I had been writing them. So for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to sit on camera like a newscaster and read this article and then occasionally look up at the camera. And then after I'd done that, which took about 10 minutes, I reflected on some of the themes. So it was the beginning of me doing them in an intuitive and improvisational way. But it took about a year for me to get to the point where I was just ready to just get on camera, press record, and let it come through as an information stream. Hello and welcome to the May 2014, July 2015, January 2016, 2017. Welcome to 2018. Looking ahead for April 2019, 2020, 2021. I'm recording this week's energy update in Berlin. I'm in New York for this update for December, and welcome to Portland. This month I'm coming to you from incredible Costa Rica. Go back 10 years, it was still certainly more than now, it was more out there, this kind of work. So you put yourself on video speaking in that way, and I went through all the same fears that many people go through. Whether it's past life memories of being burned at the stake, or the way that we've treated mystics through history, or whether it's just your fear of losing your anonymity. The one thing I noticed after I started doing energy updates was because I was putting myself on video, occasionally I would get recognized on the street in a way that I didn't when it was just a website full of photographs. So that was a little challenging at times, but I carried on doing them anyway because I felt compelled to. I could see they were helping people, and all of that to me outweighed any inconvenience to the kind of fear processing I was going to have to go through. I know exactly how many people saw the first one because I was blown away. I put it on YouTube, and I want to say it was about 13,500 or 14,000 people, and I was like, oh my God, like couldn't believe it. And I think Facebook, we had just gone onto Facebook around 2011, a year earlier. So I think we started sharing them there too. So maybe that first one was seen by, between both platforms, maybe 17, 18, 19,000 people, which was incredible to me. I already had a following for my work, a small following, but it was interesting to see how much people responded to them and wanted them. 10 years later, today, we tend to, this month, for example, I know it's over 300,000 on YouTube at the moment. And I think Facebook, the reach is 200,000-300,000 depending on the month. So I guess you could say they're now reaching as many as 500,000 people, which is kind of insane and very surreal to even think about that.
Hello and welcome to the energy forecast for March 2015. We are in San Francisco this month, and by we I mean you and I, because unusually for me this month I'm here alone and filming this alone. Never feel alone because I feel all of you guys listening to this.
So my process for creating them and the way I receive the information has really changed. A day or two before I record, I will sit down and I will receive the themes from my guides, the Z's. So they'll give me headlines. And basically those headlines are enough. And I usually wait until I've got 8. And then I get on camera and I speak to each of those themes intuitively. And what I've learned is it's none of my business how correctly I have spoken about them. Because I can sometimes come off camera and think, oh wow, I could have given a helpful tip for that theme that I didn't think about at the time. But I've learned that because when I do them, I tune in on all the listeners, my job is just to say what I hear and feel as best I can. And there are always times that you second guess it afterwards or go, oh, I don't know if that was quite. So, but back in the earlier years, it was harder for me to do them emotionally. I would sometimes feel very exposed, especially in the day or two after they got released to the public. I would go through things in my body, and I didn't always like doing them. And there were about 3 times in the 10 years that I was going to stop. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I very seriously was going to stop doing them. And I think by the time I got to 2016, I no longer wanted to stop, because I could see what they were doing for people, and I would meet people at workshops and they would say to me, your energy update helps me so much every month, or it helped me get through depression, and you hear that kind of thing and it's like, oh God, what am I worried about? So that helped me put some of my discomfort aside and lean more into the service work of the job, because these were people I was meeting in Australia or Germany or anywhere in the world. And so then I understood what the job was in a different way. And I think by that point, I had become energetically stronger in myself. So it was no longer pulling me around in quite the same way it used to. Be in focus. Yes, I think I'm in focus. Thank God. Okay. Oh, Lord. What has gone wrong during filming? Many things. Welcome to the energy update for September 2018. We recording? Yes, we are. Okay. About 2 years ago, I was running a workshop at Asilomar, and the energy updates, they need to be ready at a certain time. They need to be ready ideally for the first of the month, and I need to give my team hopefully a week to process it. So there's a tight window in which I have to fulfill this. And I recorded a whole energy update for about 35 minutes in a break I had while running a workshop, and I was so proud of myself. I'd gone off to the beach and I'd managed to set the camera up and everything, and then this new microphone that I bought just hadn't recorded the sound, and because I had no one filming it for me, I had no idea. So things like that have happened a few times, or the camera has been out of focus and I didn't know. So you've done it and you're like, oh, but then I do it again, and it's slightly different maybe, but so those are some of the things that I remember that have gone wrong over the years. And the other thing that was funny was for a while I worked with a videographer in Boulder, Colorado, and I learned that if he stood directly behind the camera, it would completely throw me off because I'd start reading him. So we learned that he had to set the camera up and then go over there so that I wasn't focused on him when I was intuitively receiving the information. I was just about to start recording this month's energy forecast, and a few things were going through my mind, including the union of divine male, divine female. And literally as I had that thought, I just looked to my right, and here were these two beauties. Because I filmed them outside pretty much for the first nine and a half years, there are all kinds of things that happen in the outside world that are way beyond your control. There were dolphins behind me just a few minutes ago, so I'm hoping you'll catch them. Who knows? If not, their energy will be here. You've got noise, you've got random people walking around, so I always would try and find a quiet spot. One day I was on the foothills in Boulder where I was living at the time, and because I had turned the viewfinder of the camera around so that I could just check my framing, I could, while I was talking to the camera, to the right, see this image of me, and I'm in the middle of the energy update, and this sweet little boy who can't have been more than 6 years old just starts walking behind me on the trail. I didn't see him coming, and he's just walking along minding his own business, but right behind me, and it just stopped me in my tracks, and I started laughing. And I think I was talking about the inner child that month and letting the child come in, so it was kind of a perfect cosmic thing, but that's probably my favorite. I've lost my thread. I will get it back. Yeah, if you can calm down the emotional body, and then if you can, the innocence of a child, you see, it breaks the mental thread that you're trying to hold on to, which is a great thing. Maybe not for the purposes of this. I think the one I will never forget is mid-March of 2020. Welcome to this mid-month energy update, which I never normally do, but over recent days, the escalation of the coronavirus around the world makes it feel highly necessary. Coronavirus was really hitting the world, and I remember it was just rising through the world really fast. And we'd just come back from Canada, we'd been doing workshops, and just as we were leaving Canada, it was beginning to get very serious. And I think it was the Saturday, I think it was the 14th maybe of March, when I woke up and I just felt this kind of horror in the world, this darkness and this fear, and it was so strong. And so I decided to go and do a mid-month update because I could just feel like we were about to go through a lot. And so I felt like I needed to do an extra one, which I'd never done before. So on the Sunday, I went and I filmed it, and I wrote to my team who would normally, edit the video and post-process things and come up with the transcript. And I just said, look, it's a Sunday, so I'm not expecting any of you to do this, but I'm doing this today, and I will edit it myself. I will release everything tomorrow, like I used to at the beginning. But they were great. They all jumped on board and said, no, we'll do it first thing in the morning. And we put that one out, and it spread very quickly. And I think just because everybody at the time was looking for something. So I think I'll never forget that one, because it was the one that I remember filming that I felt the most need around, and then it was interesting to notice how quickly it spread. A great reveal will come from this, and a great change, and I'm curious to see what that is too, but I hear that loud and clear. The themes that stand out over the last 10 years, well, firstly, a lot of the themes repeat, and I remember one of the things I had to get over was, well, I feel like I say this a lot, but my guides were like, yeah, you need to, because all of you need to remember and ingrain these things. I think one of the biggest themes that I realize I have ended up becoming an advocate for and a student of is self-care. And I think for sensitive people, it's important to recognize if we aren't caring for ourselves or balancing ourselves the way that we need to experience balance, it's going to be difficult for us in the world. So I think over the years, that theme and that permission and perhaps suggestions or ways you might want to do that
have been really constant. And I think the other themes that I'm aware of are things that really pertain to the unseen. So I'm very aware the energy updates will sound like gobbledygook to someone who doesn't feel in the way that a sensitive person might. But to a sensitive person, much the way that Karen Bishops used to do that for me, you're like, oh my God, someone is able to put words to what I'm feeling, which then empowers me to know myself better and know my feelings. So yeah, I think themes around the unseen energetics that are playing out and self-care and 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 really I think that my job and the people I work for, it's very much themes around sensitivity for people, highly sensitive people, spiritually inclined people, people who are open to that kind of world and work. I hope that the energy updates give people a sense of themselves, because that seems to be what I notice. Even if I'm saying things that people are like, oh, I already knew this, I'm already feeling this. I've noticed people say it's helpful to hear it put into words, or I hope it gives people a moment to be present with their inner world. That's really what I think they're for. The Z's said to me many years ago, back when I was considering stopping doing them because I was thinking, I'm just kind of repeating the same themes in different ways, surely. And they said, it's not what you say, it's the fact that you show up and the fact that they see that you're going through it with them. That's a huge part of it. So for me, what I realized is the information is one thing, but the connection is another. And I think many of the people who I hear share the energy update, they're doing it in a communal way. They're sharing it in families, or they're sharing it with their friends, and they talk about it. So I hope and I believe, based on the comments I see, that it gives people more of a trust and a knowing with what they're going through inside, and either language with which they can then explain that to people, or just trusting who they are and what they're going through in a deeper way. What is my biggest surprise after doing 120 energy updates? Well, I guess I'm surprised I'm still doing them, honestly, because literally I was going to walk away from them, like, quite seriously about 3 times. And people who worked with me at the time knew that, because I would say it. So I'm amazed I'm still doing them. I don't know if this is a surprise, because my guides always said that we would see the world grow around self-growth, around spirituality, around intuition. So seeing the growth, not just around my energy updates, but this field in general, like seeing how many people now are out there doing this and how many people want that, that's huge. That's a big surprise. And then on a personal level, when I got to see a clip of the very first one I did, I could see how much more scared and how much more sad I was as a person 10 years ago. I saw that video and I'm like, oh wow. And I don't think I knew I was sad at the time, although I'd come through a bit of a rough patch in my life at the time I started doing them. But it was interesting to see the evolution that you go through on camera in that way. The other thing I'm celebrating about the 10-year anniversary is that really it's given me a chance to connect with an incredible community of people around the world. It's the biggest thing that we do here, and I also want to acknowledge my team. Even though some of the team members who were there when I started it aren't with us anymore, we have an incredible team. And so it really is a team effort. There are probably 8 of us who actually work on getting these out. So yeah, it's quite amazing. We've come a long way since the days it was me and my laptop and iMovie. So that's all from me, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lots of love, everyone. Lots of love. Big love, everybody. Take care. Big love to all of you. Lots of love, everyone. Stay safe. Have a good month. Lots of love. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Big love. Big love.
Lots of love. Until next month, take care, everyone.